This is the tutorial on creating an optical character recognition field, known as an OCR field. After completing this tutorial, you should understand how to create an OCR field, and you should understand the rules and some of the hints to OCR formatting. An OCR field should be used when you have a serial field on your form that needs to be easily read by individuals that handle the form. It is recommended that in any case that you can, you should use a barcode field rather than an OCR field to increase the accuracy in the database. An example of when to use an OCR field would be if you are administering a training evaluation and on the top of the form you want each person's name. This name needs to be easily readable by the person who hands out the forms, so this would be a great time to use OCR fields. There are a couple rules and hints for OCR fields. First, OCR fields are not as reliable as barcode fields. So again, it is recommended that you use barcode fields instead of OCR fields whenever possible. For the best results on OCR fields, you should use Times New Roman or Arial type with a font size between 10 and 18 point. Number 3. Like barcodes, OCR fields can be merged with a database using Word's mail merge feature. There is more information on this in a later tutorial in the Autodata Learning Center. The next rule is very important to remember. OCR fields have a maximum character width of 28 characters, and this includes spaces. And the last rule is extremely important to remember. When you're creating an OCR field, you should always choose the correct and most accurate field format. This will be easier to understand when I actually show you how to create an OCR field. So now let's take a moment to go over how to create an OCR field. Here you can see a survey that I've been working on that is meant to survey some students of a class. Let's say that we need each person to fill out the survey, and we want to have that person's name linked to their responses in the database. We are going to use OCR fields for this because we need the names to be easily read by the person who is going to hand out the forms to each person. Barcode fields could work, but they are harder to read, even though they are more accurate during scanning. So first we find the OCR icon on the Autodata toolbar. It looks like a small lowercase a and b put together. Once you click on it, the OCR Properties box appears. The first field is called Field Name. This can be left as it is, or you can change it, like I'm going to do, to Name. By changing it, you have just made it a lot easier to identify within the database after you have processed the forms. Now before we create the OCR text, we need to define what field format this OCR field is. By doing so, we have greatly improved the accuracy of our scanning and processing of this form. You should always pick the most accurate description of what the OCR text is going to be. For our example, I was going to use a name, like John Smith, in all uppercase. So for the field format, I am going to choose alpha uppercase, since it is all letters and uppercase. But let's take a moment to look at some of the other options. We have letters in lowercase. We have a whole bunch of numbers. We have letters uppercase and lowercase with alpha only. You notice that there's two numerics. One will actually read any type of symbol that you print in the OCR text. You should never use recognize all characters unless you absolutely have to, due to possible inaccuracies in the database. So now we can put in our OCR text. Please remember that whatever is written inside of this field must be under 28 characters, and this includes spaces. I can click on Font to change the way my OCR field is going to look on my form. It is recommended that you either stay with Arial or Times New Roman and have a font size between 10 and 18. I'm going to stay with Arial, but I'm going to decrease the size to 14. I click OK and I'm taken back to the OCR Properties box. The field order is determined automatically when we publish this document, so I'm going to leave this alone. There are two attributes that can be applied to this field. The first is that we can make this a serial field if we wish. Please see a later tutorial on serial fields in the Autodata Learning Center if you would like to know more. The second attribute is to always verify what is scanned during final processing. You may want to choose this if you are going to be performing a mail merge on this field. This way, you can confirm the correct information is being written to the database. There is more information on performing a mail merge in the Autodata Learning Center. Now that I have completed all of the necessary fields, I can click OK, and you can see that the object is created. I can move it to where I need it to be, right next to the name field here. Once I have finished all of my formatting, I could publish it, print off this form for John Smith. Then if I needed to create one for, say, Mary Yoder, I could right-click on this field, go to Edit Scannable Object, and type in Mary's name. But I don't need to do this quite yet because I have not completed the survey. But now you know how to create an OCR field. This completes the tutorial on creating an OCR field.